A couple days ago, I made a video about using projectors down here in the game room, and a fan of the channel commented about how they were getting discouraged while trying to build their game room, and all the costs and issues you run into when trying to make a collection or a game room like this especially. I encourage people, if you want a game room, it's going to take some time. I've always said that, and I always will say that. A lot of the stuff down here I got over time, and time is my best friend when it comes to building a collection. It's also the best thing I can advise anyone else who wants to build a collection because it's pretty much all you have. But let me tell you one thing that really changed my mind about how my game room looks, operates, and feels. Way back before we moved, I used to think that my game room had to be perfect from the start. I used to think that the way I set it up was the way it always had to be. There was no room for expansion. It had to be perfect from day one, no matter what cost. Obviously, that's not a good mindset to have. There is no such thing as a perfect game room. You can have a great room, but there's no such thing as perfect, mainly because it'll always be growing. In fact, that idea is why I don't even use shelving down here to put the games away in. I use bins. Once I moved away from the idea that I had to have everything perfect all the time, no matter what, much easier and much more enjoyable to build up a collection down here and expand it slowly but surely. I had to really get over the fact that people aren't going to judge me on my game room. They're going to want to come over and hang out because there's fun to be had, there's good people around, and we're going to have a blast. Once I got away from all that, I realized that the game room, the way it looks now, might not be the way it looks a month from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. I really was able to step up the game and kind of adapt and slowly build up to what you see now. This is a long process. Now, in the past, I've talked about how the reason I have a lot of this stuff already is because I just didn't get rid of anything. And that's pretty much true. Some things I did get rid of, some things came back in my possession after time. In general, a lot of the games down here have been in my possession for a long time, especially the core stuff. And the core stuff, I mean, over here, a lot of the PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast games that I have that are, I guess you can say, on the expensive side. No, I didn't buy these recently. These have been around for a long time. So I want to go over a little bit more today, and I don't want to make this ramble too long, but kind of explain how stuff got down here, where it comes from, and how my journey has been going. So for a long time, I stopped doing like console gaming. Me and my wife were playing World of Warcraft pretty addictively, and if not, we were playing Rift and other things like that. So I always thought about how much money we saved by not playing anything but World of Warcraft. Without getting too personal, boy, that game is toxic. But it saved us a lot of money playing World of Warcraft. And then I started getting back into console gaming for some reason. I don't know why I started doing it again. I always had an Xbox 360 that I played with. I think it was actually my friend who bought me the 360 that got me back into console stuff. Anyways, off we go here. I got back into console gaming, and from that point forward, I've just been slowly, over those years, building this collection. Now, I want to say that more or less half what you see down here probably showed up before we stopped playing WoW, and the other half shows up after we stopped playing WoW. When I say that a lot of the stuff I've had down here I bought years upon years ago, I do mean that. This N64 I bought in high school. I saved my money, worked little jobs here and there to save money to buy this to play Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. This GameCube I bought with my graduation money. This is a box from it. My wife and I bought this after playing Mario Kart 8 with our friend one weekend. It was already pretty much clearance. No one was buying the Wii U at that point. No one wanted the Wii U. People still really don't want the Wii U, unfortunately. This challenge set is near and dear to me, this NES challenge set, because it's the first system I ever played. This is the box from the system that my aunt bought, and I, one fateful day in Columbus, Ohio, played that system. And when she passed away, it came to me in the collection, and I have her NES hooked up to the TV over there, but this is the original box. So that stuff's original. The Switch up here, my wife got for my birthday when it came out that year, 2017. And this SNES box was given to me by a good friend, and this Wii was a... I bought the Wii box at a garage sale for like $1, I want to say. The box had all the instructions, everything inside of it. So I bought the box and all the instructions, all the packing stuff. And then I found the Wii to go in there eventually, but I only paid like $50 for the entire Wii with the remote, with the game and everything else because no one wanted that stuff. Now, what you gotta understand about these bins is that not all these bins are filled up. So the Xbox bin over here is not really that full of games. There's a lot in there, don't get me wrong, but it's not packed full. The Wii U, it's pretty full. Over here, GameCube stuff, there's like a few GameCube games, but it's mostly Switch games. Like, why do you have so many Switch games in here? Physical Switch games go on sale a lot. Not even Nintendo stuff, like just Switch games in general go on sale a lot. And it becomes very affordable to pick up 3 or 4 at a time for $100 as opposed to just getting one game for $60. Time is your friend. Sales are your friend. Clearance bins are your friends. eBay, long haul on eBay, long haul on Mercari. Always checking, email alerts. Those things are your friends. Obviously, the PS5 stuff is all pretty new up here. This is the PS4 we bought when it was at the end of its life cycle to play Metal Gear Solid. This PS3 box I paid like $10 for and put a PS3 inside. This PS2, same thing. This is my original PlayStation I bought way back in the day. Traded in a whole bunch of NES stuff for that box. But again, I need to reiterate over and over again while this video happens is that a lot of this stuff I've had for a very long time. And the crazy part is I can tell you where I was when I bought most of this stuff. That BioShock 2 came from clearance at Best Buy. I think it was $6 or something like that. It was something stupid. It was like $5 or $6. Taiko Drum Master for the PS2, I have 2 copies of that. Those were pre-pandemic on Amazon for $30 each because no one wanted them. That's why I keep trying to tell people, no one wanted this stuff. No one wanted game stuff. Everyone was getting rid of it. No one saw any value in it. Then there's just getting lucky, too. I used to go to garage sales a lot. I come from a family of bargain hunters and garage sailors. I found a darn near complete in box Genesis 3 at a garage sale. I think I paid $6 for this, and Shining Force 1 and 2 were inside of it. You do get lucky sometimes. I took the sticker off, but this book of spells for PS3 was, I think, $6 at Best Buy, maybe. I always have a special place in my heart for my original Dreamcast box and my original Dreamcast, which is still in service over here to this day. I keep saying this about games, but you pull these open, and my SNES games is pretty much just storage for other boxes. There's not a lot of actual games in there, so it might look impressive, but there's a lot of gaps, you could say, and a lot of movie magic down here to make it look fuller than it is. In fact, this over here is pretty much empty. It has a few extra accessories and things, but not much going on. When we first started this game room down here, we moved, we decided it was going to be a dedicated game room no matter what. And our attitude was we had to have it set up perfectly from day one, the way it was always going to be and always going to stay. We were always going to have a kitchen table over here for board games. We're going to have all the board games over here, our DVD collection, things like that. And we're always going to have one TV over there with kind of like a wraparound couch. That had to be from day one. It had to be perfect. Nothing else can go on the walls. The posters we had and the art we had were the ones that were going to stay there forever, and nothing was going to change. Well, since that point, we've gone through 2 kitchen tables, a whole bunch of collapsible tables. We've split the couch that we bought. We've gone through 2 couches. We added these pads down here before we split the couches. We've done a whole lot down here. We have nothing but portable tables. We've gotten rid of a ton of IKEA Kallax cubes that we used to have the whole basement flanked with. The first iteration of this basement, from this wall here, all the way to the corner, and then all the way down here, was all these 4x4 Kallax cubes from IKEA. That's all it was. We had no TVs over here. We had no retro game area. We had no retro TVs. It was just, this is the way it has to be. We have to have a board game area. We have to have a main TV entertainment area. And when people come over, they have to do one of the 2 things, and that's it. That attitude was holding back my game room from being the best game room I could make it. In fact, we wouldn't have even gotten into retro games if it wasn't for a student of mine who hauled in a 19-inch CRT one day to Game Club and set up Duck Hunt for me, and I realized how magical and fun it was. And from that point forward, the basement took some major changes. I realized whatever we have it set up right now as, it doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, the more we change it, improve it, and make it more modular, the better it can be for everyone. That's really the philosophy you have to embrace if you want to make a game room. Slow and steady burn. Constantly watch things on eBay. Constantly watch things on Mercari. Look for bargains, look for deals. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a long process. If there's something I want, for example, over here, these Dreamcast Twin Sticks, which pay attention to TikTok, you'll see it in a video soon here, hopefully, on YouTube. I wanted these for about 4 or 5 years. That was a fun game. Everyone always says Virtual On's an amazing game, but it's like, can I justify that right now? Well, no, I couldn't justify it when I wanted them originally, but I waited. I watched eBay for a long, long time and found a good deal on sticks from Japan in great shape, practically brand new, along with the game for a good price. But if I had bought it when I wanted it at that impulse point, I would have paid way too much money for it. Then I would have looked it on my shelf and I would have said, why'd you do that? You didn't need that. You shouldn't have bought it. When I don't let myself be consumed by things I want and instead let myself be consumed by, is it worth it? Is it going to be fun for everyone? What use is there for it? And is it going to be fun long term? Then things get better in the game room and for my friends, family, and even my students. Another example would be over there with Steel Battalion, that big controller for Steel Battalion people. How do you afford that? How do you afford that? 6 years of waiting. That's how I afford it. 6 years of waiting and watching and putting offers in and bids in and even lowballing, even though they know what they got. That's how you do that kind of stuff. You just wait a while. It just takes time. And I hate to keep saying it over and over again, but it really is. It's time. Time and a willingness to understand that the way your game room is will change over time. You just have to be willing to let it happen.